Welcome, everyone. I'm Nick,
And I'm Fred, and join us as we cross over into the Frightful Frontier.
a show where we search for the best sci-fi and horror humans have to offer.
Today we have 25 books that we want to read in 2025. Nick picked out all these books, so I'm going in blind. So we're going to go over a short description of all these books and let us know what's worth reading and if we miss any bangers.
Sounds good. Let's get started. So I threw this list together. There's real no particular order to it. We got 25 books to read throughout the year. Few of them classics, few of them new ones, a few of them new releases this year even. Uh, the only real order is I tried to alternate between horror and sci-fi, make sure we got a good mix in there. But outside of that, uh, let us know where to start. We'll kick it off with Intercepts by TJ Payne. All right, the synopsis for Intercepts. Joe works at a facility that performs human experimentation. His work just followed him home. The government wanted to unlock hidden abilities in the human mind. They put subjects in extreme sensory deprivation. All these subjects went violently insane. But the research continued. Today it's been perfected. Almost perfected. So this one I think is like the number one book that comes up if you search horror books on Amazon.
Yeah, that's how I found it. I was like just on Amazon searching books, and this one came up, and it sounds pretty good.
So I just started this one and I've cruised through it. I think I'm like I think my Kindle says I'm like 75% of the way through or something. I feel like I just started it. It has been so easy to just cruise through. The the author does such a great job of like mixing in elements that move the story forward really quickly, but like keep you pulled in and just like the horror bits in it. Like there's some pretty good body horror and just things like that. So I think you said you had just started this one too. So I'm excited to see
Yeah.
what you think once you start to dive into it because like I said, I'm cruising through it. It's really good and I'm excited to wrap it up and kind of see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm like 40 pages in, and it's really cool. It's a lot of very cool pictures and ideas in there that it just they really paint a picture. This author, what's his name again?
TJ Payne.
TJ Payne. Yeah, he can really point a picture.
Like what a name.
Yeah, right. For like an author.
I'm sure it's a pen name, but like
Yeah,
good work.
yeah. He does good work out of all the books I've read so far. I really like his writing style and what he's got to offer. I mean, it's just like boom, 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 stuff is happening. I'm at 40 pages, and a lot of stuff has happened.
Yeah. I remember starting it and being like, wait, how does that like it was one thing after the other. There were like three really big events right away in the book that I was just like, this is how he starts it off. There's no way this isn't gonna be good. There's no way he can keep this up too. And sure enough, he has all the way up to the point that I'm at, and there's no signs of slowing down. So that'll likely be one that we'll do a review of on the channel. Uh, but there was no way, even though I knew we were both already reading it, it wasn't not going to be on the list because it's up there for sure. Cool. Any more thoughts there?
Yeah, so if you comment not to read that book, it's already too late. We're
Yeah.
already reading it. It's
Also, you're wrong.
Yeah, we're already in it. Thanks, TJ Payne.
Cool. On to number two. I've got Negative Space by B.R. Yeager. Yeah, it's got to
Okay.
be Yeager. Yeager. Here's the cover, which is just super sick.
Okay.
Um,
Is this one more sci-fi then?
I think it's kind of a mix of both. I've
Okay.
had this come up on it's come up on Instagram and I've seen it in a few YouTube videos and like I've heard nothing but good things about it. Uh, it's just a one sentence synopsis on Goodreads. Uh, so we'll see how it goes from there.
All right. Yeah. What's this one about?
Synopsis is four teens in a New Hampshire mill town abuse a bizarre hallucinogenic called WHORL, WHORL in all caps, in order to cope with a devastating suicide epidemic. So definitely falls into the horror genre. Um, but I feel like the hallucinogenic side and like some of that social commentary. I feel like that can maybe lead it into a little bit more of the sci-fi too. I don't know. What I've got is the synopsis and a bunch of people saying to go give it a read. So I'm going into this one about as blind as you are.
Yeah, in all honesty, I love books with hallucinogenics and like the descriptions in the books and everything like that because movies and TV just can't really describe stuff the way books can. So when you got a hallucinogenic and they're probably going to go through like what it's like taking this drug, it's going to be a pretty good read. So I think I'm into that book.
Cool. All right, let's keep her moving. Book number 3. We've got oh, this definitely falls into the sci-fi. This one will be fun. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Okay.
I've seen it pop up a few times lately. It's got over 4.5 stars on Goodreads with like 57,000 ratings. Like it's got to be good. Uh, all right, synopsis. The apocalypse will be televised. A man, his ex-girlfriend's cat, a sadistic game show unlike anything in the universe. A dungeon crawl where survival depends on killing your prey in the most entertaining ways possible. In a flash, every human erected construction on Earth, from Buckingham Palace to the tiniest of sheds, collapses in a heap, sinking into the ground. The buildings and all the people inside have been atomized and transformed into the dungeon, an 18-level labyrinth filled with traps, monsters, and loot. A dungeon so enormous it circles the entire globe. Only a few dare venture inside, but once you're in, you can't get out. And what's worse, each level has a time limit. You have but days to find the staircase to the next level down, or it's game over. In this game, it's not about your strength or your dexterity, it's about your followers and your views and your clout. It's about building an audience and killing those goblins with style.
That sounds like Hunger Games.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sounds just like a digital Hunger Game. I'm into it though. Like I like the I'm a
Okay.
big apocalypse guy, so I like apocalypse, zombies, end of the world, how people are figuring stuff out. So, and it sounds like in this dystopian world, people are turning to entertainment um to spend their time.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like a but like if it takes over Earth, like it's got to be like a intergalactic thing. Like it's got to be people or creatures from other planets that are like giving you the loot and the benefactors watching from across the galaxy. So it's like
That'd be sick. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like an apocalypse brought on by aliens
And then they
for the fun
televise
of a
it.
TV show.
Yeah.
And then they just make human like
They make kids fight.
it's like that episode of The Fairly Odd Parents or whatever.
Yeah. Isn't that like a Rick and Morty episode too? Not to bring up Rick and Morty, but
I feel like it
yeah,
is.
where they sing and they're like,
Oh yeah.
"Show me
Yep.
what you've got."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right.
Okay. This sounds good. I think that'd be a good read. How many pages is that one? Do you know?
446.
Okay, that's a good.
That's a heavy,
Yeah, it's a good number to be.
especially for where we're at in our like reading journey, where we're still getting used to reading and all that. 446 could
Yeah.
be a bit long, but like if it keeps us hooked, like it sounds like it could.
Yeah.
446 could be done in an instant.
Yeah, the thing I have with a lot of books is I read the shorter ones because they're very easy to digest, but it feels like there should be a lot more story to it. So I'm kind of getting into longer books now
Okay, cool.
where it's like they can actually describe more stuff and get deeper into stuff.
Yeah,
And it's a better read. So I think that one is going to be a good read.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. For number 4, we have Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. The synopsis here. That's a little bit of a lengthy one.
What is this one for?
I think this one falls more into sci-fi. The tags on Goodreads have sci-fi, fiction, thriller, mystery, thriller, and fantasy.
Okay.
So like it could kind of
Dark
hit
Matter.
both. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Synopsis for Dark Matter. Jason Desson is walking home through the chilly Chicago streets one night, looking forward to a quiet evening in front of his fireplace with his wife, Daniela, and their son, Charlie, when his reality shatters. Are you happy with your life? Those are the last words Jason Dennison hears before the masked abductor knocks him unconscious. Before he awakens to find himself trapped to a gurney surrounded by strangers in hazmat suits. before a man Jason's never met smiles down at him and says, "Welcome back, my friend." In this world he's woken up to, Jason's life is not the one he knows. His wife is not his wife, his son was never born, and Jason is not an ordinary college physics professor, but a celebrated genius who has archived something remarkable, something impossible. Is it this world or the other that's the dream? And even if the home he remembers is real, how can Jason possibly make it back to the family he loves? The answers lie in a journey more wondrous and horrifying than anything he could have imagined. One that will force him to confront the darkest parts of himself, even as he battles a terrifying, seemingly unbeatable foe. Dark Matter is a brilliantly plotted tale that is at once sweeping and intimate, mind-bendingly strange and profoundly human, a relentlessly surprising science fiction thriller about choices, paths not taken, and how far we'll go to claim the lives we dream of.
Sounds pretty good. I mean, if I'm being honest, out of all the books, I'd probably put that on the lowest one so far.
Okay.
Like, I was really into those other two, and this one is like, it's okay.
I think it seems like it really hits that, especially with that like tagline at the end of the paths not taken and how far we'll go to claim the lives we dream of. Like he could be one of those like really um, existential type
Yeah.
approaches where it's like it's a little bit less fun, I but like a more of a make you think type book.
Yeah, and I feel like you like more of those books where it's just like more of a thought-provoking book, and I like monsters and aliens and stuff that attack you, and you're like, how am I going to kill this thing?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you're just
Fair.
you're smarter than I am, so you're like, oh,
Oh, shucks.
accidentally, how do I handle this situation? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
smash the monster.
Okay. That's fair.
So yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
But I would choose those other books before this one.
Hey, that's all we got. 25. If we read 25 this year, like
It's more
we're
books
on
I've
a
ever read in my life. So
right. Yeah, we're doing great. So even if this is towards the bottom of the list, that's cool. I'm sure there's going to be tons more that come out this year too that we're going to be hyped over.
yeah,
Uh, all right, so Dark Matter towards the bottom of the list. I'm sure we'll hear about that one because I know I've heard a good bit about that one. That one's
yeah. Has
come
that
up
one
on a
got like a
few
big
lists.
following?
Yeah, I think so. It had
Okay.
like let me double check, but it had like 614,000 ratings on Goodreads. So like it's pretty popular. Rated 4.14, so decent, but yeah, we'll see how our list goes, how tackling this list goes, and if we ever make it there.
Now, are these self-published or are they published? A lot
We've
of
got
these.
a mix throughout. So far, I think a good majority of them are like through a publishing company.
Through a
Like,
publisher. Okay.
yeah, um, bigger name ones, but there's definitely a few on this list that aren't quite up to those standards.
Yeah. Well, I don't really mind if something's self-published or published. I feel like maybe down the line we'll do a video of like just self-published books that are like worth the read.
Yeah,
Because so then we
that'd be
can
cool.
like filter out for, our viewers on like what's a good self-published book to read.
Yeah, and I mean that's like kind of the whole point of this is we're just looking for good horror and sci-fi. We don't care
Yeah.
where comes from. So if we find it that way, then that's awesome. So cool. Let's keep it moving. Book number 5, a classic. We've got Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card.
Love the movie.
Book's better than the movie.
Yeah, have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't seen the movie.
No,
I haven't
Harrison
read the
Ford's
book.
in it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who else is in it. I just remember Harrison Ford. The movie goes fast, so I mean, I dabbled with the book in high school. I don't think I finished it, but I know the movie is like boom, boom, boom,
Okay.
and they kind of gloss over a bunch of stuff. So
Okay. 324 pages. It's not too heavy, but like
no.
that feels like a good pace too. If like
Well,
the
Ender's
movie moves
Game
on.
is part of like a series. I'm pretty sure he's got like
Yeah,
three or four.
Ender Saga is the name of the series, and this says Ender Saga #1. Yeah, I think there's probably 3 or 4 in there. All right, synopsis here. Andrew Ender Wiggin thinks he is playing computer simulated war games. He is in fact engaged in something far more desperate. The result of genetic experimentation, Ender may be the military genius Earth desperately needs in a war against an alien enemy seeking to destroy all human life. The only way to find out is to throw Ender into the ever harsher training, to chip away and find the diamond inside or destroy him utterly. Ender Wiggin is 6 years old when it begins. He will grow up fast.
I think low key, you don't know he is like government made or whatever
Oh, really?
until like later. So I'm surprised the synopsis put that
What?
in there.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
His
So
sentence one of the
yeah, I was
synopsis
like,
just
I
ruins
could
it.
be wrong. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they don't tell you that till like book two. And they don't mention it like at all in book one because
What?
it's something like because he's got like an older brother and an older sister, and like the brother was too mean and then the sister was too nice. So somehow the government like worked with his parents to like make Ender like
Oh,
the
okay.
perfect soldier or something like that. I could be wrong. I mean, this is like 15 years ago now, so I could.
Cool. We'll
So
see when we dive in. This one's always kind of been on my list, towards the top of my list, because it's such a classic. It's a name you hear, both the movie and the book. You hear it everywhere. So, like, I just haven't gotten around to it, but it was one I'm pretty hyped to dive into.
yeah, I think it'll be way better to read it as an adult than when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, I was just reading it to do a project, like a class assignment.
Totally. You're just
And
getting through
now
it. Yeah.
I would actually read it and understand it and like it more.
Yeah. I feel like the reading for enjoyment makes so much of a difference. Uh, cool. All right. That was first five. We're moving along.
Okay.
Book number six is called The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones. I actually read or listened to an audiobook on Spotify of another Stephen Graham Jones book. I think it was like last fall, maybe a little earlier. I think it was called like I Was a Teenage Slasher or something like that. It was kind
Okay.
of a fun take on like the classic 80s slasher. But I think Stephen Graham Jones writes a lot about like indigenous persons and things like that, and a lot of the content of his other books was way more appealing to me than the one that I actually read. The one that I actually or listened to again. It was just available on Spotify, so I was like, "Cool, I'll give it a go."
Yeah.
And the content of the book was fine, but I did really like his writing.
Hmm.
Uh, but the book itself wasn't super gripping for me. Again, didn't dislike it or anything. It just I don't know. It was fine.
Okay.
But this is more the style of his writing that I've heard so many good things about that I when I saw this book actually comes out in the middle of March. Uh,
So this isn't out yet.
nope, this isn't out yet.
Okay.
Expected 18th of March, 2025.
Okay.
So I'm hoping we can get our hands on it like right when it comes out and give it a go.
So how'd you hear about it already?
I think I either like follow him on Goodreads or something came up on. I don't know. It was
Okay.
probably somewhere through like books he's published or upcoming
Yeah.
books,
Then
something
he's
like
like,
that.
I
And
got
like
this book coming out.
this was one. Yeah, it just sounds cool. So I'll read the synopsis and then I'm gonna read the tags on Goodreads because there's something in the tags that just adds so much more to the synopsis that I was like, okay, this is gonna be sick.
Okay.
A chilling historical horror novel set in the American West in 1912, following a Lutheran priest who transcribes the life of a vampire who haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Reservation looking for justice. Okay, I didn't realize vampire was right there, but that was what was in the tags
Okay.
that really caught my attention. And then there's a little bit more of the
I
synopsis.
like monsters, so this is going. This is going good so far.
So, a diary written in 1912 by a Lutheran pastor is discovered within a wall. What it unveils is a slow massacre, a chain of events that go back to 217 Blackfeet dead in the snow. Told in transcribed interviews by a Blackfeet named Goodstab, who shares the narrative of his peculiar life over the series of confessional visits. This is an American Indian revenge story written by one of the new masters of horror, Stephen Graham Jones. So even there, there's an ode to his.
Yeah, like his past books and stuff.
Yeah,
That sounds really cool. I mean, I'm really into that book. I
yeah,
like the whole idea of like a Western vampire. It's like story. Because you just know it's going to be brutal in like the Western atmosphere or like
Yeah.
setting, especially with vampires and a lot of stories with vampires. I feel like kind of gets um, not as good with technology and stuff like that because you can be like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
you could just like hang out in the basement or something like during the day.
Yeah.
But in the Western, like people are just trying to be alive, and then you
Yeah.
got a vampire in there too. It's kind of like the same thing as like apocalypse stories. So I'm into that. I'm into that.
Cool. Yeah, that was one I was really excited for. So I was hoping that was up there on your list too. I'm gonna be reading it either way,
Yeah,
but it'd be cool if we could chat about it because I'm definitely gonna wanna yap about that one with somebody.
yeah,
That
that's
sounds
gonna be a
sick.
solid one.
Uh, yeah, that vampire bit. So I just read like that kind of the second part of the synopsis where it's like a diary, blah blah blah, 217 dead, told through journal entries. And
Wasn't
then I was like, what? And then I saw vampires in the genre, and I was like, oh, bro.
isn't Dracula thrown like told through diary entries?
I have never read Dracula,
Okay, I feel like it's either Dracula. I've never read either, but it's either Dracula
but it's further on the
or
list. It's
or
down on the list somewhere.
just the part where they're on the boat in Dracula. You know, the Demeter.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Um,
saw that movie 2 summers ago or whatever, The Last Voyage
yeah,
of the Demeter. That was pretty solid.
yeah, that's a sick movie. But that, I mean, that's just like a part of Dracula. Is like that whole movie is just like being
Yeah,
there on the boat.
yeah. Okay. Sick. Yeah, I don't know. It's like kind of it's a trope that can go super well
Uh,
because it's told in that real time, but also it's like in some cases it's kind of a cliche. So
yeah.
it can go not so well. I have faith in Stephen Graham Jones. I think he's gonna nail it. I'm hyped for that one. Uh, cool. On to the next one. We're gonna lean into a sci-fi one here. It's called Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Darrow is a Red, a member of the lowest caste in the color coded society of the future. Like his fellow Reds, he works all day believing that he and his people are making the surface of Mars livable for future generations. Yet he spends his life willing, knowing that his blood and sweat will one day result in a better world for his children. But Darrow and his kind have been betrayed. Soon he discovers that humanity already reached the surface generations ago. Vast cities and sprawling parks spread across the planet. Darrow and Reds like him are nothing more than slaves to a decadent ruling class. Inspired by a longing for justice and driven by the memory of lost love, Darrow sacrifices everything to infiltrate the legendary institute, capital I Institute, so that must be like
The name of it.
yeah,
Okay.
a proving ground for the dominant gold caste, where the next generation of humanity's overlords struggle for power. He will be forced to compete for his life and the very future of civilization against the best and most brutal of society's ruling class. There, he will stop at nothing to bring down his enemies, even if it means he has to become one of them to do so.
Okay. That sounds pretty good. That it feels a lot like Hunger Games, Divergent, kind of like those fight the man
Yeah.
books of
Yep.
like society. But that could be a good change in between, we're reading monsters and sci-fi and everything like that. So it's kind of more about fighting the man and the government and stuff like that. So I can get into that.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
So is that part of a series then?
Yeah, it is.
It feels like it's like the beginning of a series.
Yeah, it totally does. Looks like it's book one of seven, and seven either is to be published this year or has been published in the past month and a half. But it says seventh and final book in the Red Rising saga. So maybe we're starting the series at a good time if the
Yeah,
last
if they're
one
still
just got
doing it.
published. I mean, if it's solid, we can just keep reading the series. I tried to throw a good mix on this list of self-published and books in a series and one-offs and like I threw another Stephen Graham Jones book on here actually that is the first of a series, but it's like the series that people know him for, from my
Okay.
understanding. So I
Is it?
tried to like throw that mix in of
Yeah.
just like all different types of journeys we could go on, and if we find something we really like, we know how to what to look for to find more of that.
Right. So is this like a teen book or is this
It
kind
it
of
was tagged young adult, I think.
okay?
Let me double check. But yeah, I think it was tagged young adult, so I'm sure it'll be like a relatively easy read. Like we can cruise through it. Yeah,
Yeah.
young adult,
Yeah. Yeah.
382 pages. So,
Yeah.
decent length, but I feel like Hunger Games and like books like that were about that length. So
Right.
I just remember everybody reading those when we were in middle school and high school. So
Yeah, and if we want to do something like if we like these books and we can start doing like more of a series of them, that'd be really cool.
yeah,
And diving into them, it matters what people are saying, and they're like, "Yeah, I want to know more about these books," and we could always, we got 7 of those, so we could just read through all those.
yeah.
But if we want to do more series, I mean, for example, I went to the bookstore the other day and I picked up this book. I just started. I'm that far in. I'm not even
Oh, okay.
too far in, but it's pretty good. It's called The Last Plague by Rich Hawkins. I think it's self-published. I don't think it's he's got a publisher. Um, but it's a cool book. I want to say there's like 3 or 4 of them. And it's a really cool take on zombie apocalypse. It's kind of like a classic zombie apocalypse, but the zombies are more like what's that one show they just came out with Pedro Pascal? And
Last of
with
Us.
yeah, Last of Us. They're almost like Last of Us zombies.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Where they're not just like the brains. They're
yeah, they're
like
like full blown,
intelligent
and
yeah.
they're kind of. I'm just at the point now. You can see like where I'm at with this. Um, where you're kind of getting into the zombies and what they're about and everything, and it feels more like a hive mind type thing.
Okay.
But I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not even into it that much. So, um, but I'm definitely going to keep reading that one and get deeper into it and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And I can easily see myself picking up the other books for that one.
I'll have to steal that one afterwards too.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
bonus book. There we go. That
Yeah.
sounds sick. Um, Next on the list, we are at number 8, The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. I actually read a book by Simone St. James, I want to say last fall. I think it was called like The Sundown Motel,
Okay.
something like that. Very solid. I really enjoyed it. She's another name I've heard just come up left and right where people are like, you gotta read her books. Like they're ones that people are like, anything she writes, I'm here for it.
Okay.
I'm all about it. So, synopsis here starts off as Vermont, 1950. There's a place for girls whom no one wants, the troublemakers, the illegitimate, the too smart for their own good. It's called Idlewild Hall. And in the small town where it's located, there are rumors that the boarding school is haunted. 4 roommates bond over the whispered fears, their budding friendships blossoming until one of them mysteriously disappears. Then it cuts Vermont 2014. As much as she's tried, journalist Fiona Sheridan can't stop revisiting the events surrounding her older sister's death. 20 years ago, her body was found lying in the overgrown fields near the ruins of Idlewild Hall. And though her sister's boyfriend wasn't tried and convicted of murder, Fiona
Well,
can't murder. Fiona can't shake the suspicion that something was never right about the case. When Fiona discovers that Idlewild Hall is being restored by an anonymous benefactor, she decides to write a story about it. But a shocking discovery during the renovations will link the loss of her sister to secrets that were meant to stay hidden in the past and a voice that won't be silenced. That actually reminds me, I think, a lot of The Sundown Motel, the other book by her that I wrote. But like, if you've got something dialed in and you can just change some characters, keeping the story fresh, like why
yeah.
not keep going?
Yeah, I feel like that's a good. Is that like under mystery more so?
Yeah, I would say like that falls more mystery thriller than like
Yeah.
horror.
Yeah.
So I know you like the monsters and stuff like that more, and I
Well, it's
think
a good mix though. You got to
yeah,
mix it up because you can't just always read about monsters
yeah,
because then you're just going to be like, all right, that's enough. That's enough zombies and stuff. So you got to
yeah.
throw a mystery in there. You got to throw some other stuff in there where it's not constant dog scratching himself. um, so I think that's going to be a good um what is that?
Palette cleanser.
Yeah, palate cleanser. I think that'll be good for that.
Yeah. She has all right, Goodreads says she has 12 books. So again, too, if we end up liking this one, we can have some more.
We could do a whole mystery, genre,
Yeah.
and kind of go into mystery more too, because I mean,
Yeah.
mysteries are huge in books.
Yeah,
Um,
thrillers are everywhere right now. There's lots of them being written. So, and like I've always loved the like whodunits and like
yeah,
just the murder mystery type format has always been really intriguing to me. It's I don't know, it's always fun to just be alongside that and like try to figure it out. If
right,
you feel such a big sense of accomplishment if you get it ahead of the book. Like if
right,
you know who did it and like it's not an answer that's right in front of your face, like you actually did the figuring out of it,
right.
it's so satisfying. So uh, thrillers and mystery will definitely always have a special place in my heart.
Do
So
we know who's figuring out the mystery? So it's the dog,
it
the
sounds like
sister.
it's Fiona,
Okay,
who is the journalist whose older sister was found in the fields of that hall
okay,
20 years prior or whatever. So it seems like it's her probably. She's definitely the protagonist. Uh, I don't know how much she's like involved in the actual figuring out of it, but I don't know.
that sounds solid.
Cool. Let's keep moving. We number 9 is The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. So this is actually a collection of short stories. 18 short stories by Ray Bradbury, who this is like a huge collection of his stuff, and then I actually have The Illustrated Man is on the shelf back there. Um, so we have the paperback
And that's the
of
book
it.
you're saying right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
So and it's just the Ray Bradbury just like he's one of the like sci-fi greats.
okay,
So it's just a bunch of short stories by him, um, kind of going all over the place. I don't really know. Obviously, we're not going to get into the synopsis of each one, but
right,
I feel like something like that could be fun to either have as like a complimentary book that we're always just like reading one story here and there of. Again, it's like a palate cleanser or something. It doesn't necessarily need to be sat down and read like a novel start to finish. So
right,
I figure something like that could be cool to throw in the mix and I don't know, get a better idea of what the genre is all about. Because like I'm so intrigued by sci-fi, but I haven't really read a whole lot of it.
right,
Definitely read more horror than sci-fi, but like I know there's so much good stuff out there. So it's like,
right.
cool. How do we dive into that? So that is that one.
Sounds solid.
Yeah. All right. Number 10 is another book that's being released this year. Expected June 10th, 2025. It's called With a Vengeance by Riley Sager.
Okay,
So this also falls a little bit more into that mystery thriller category. I've read every single one of Riley Sager's books. Like I pretty much just started reading a lot last year, and I read all of his books right away. In a similar format, like we mentioned before, he kind of has a formula down.
okay,
So although his books may be a little bit more predictable, they're still always really fun.
okay.
Um, so this one, like I said, expected in June of this year. Synopsis goes: one train, no stops, a deadly game of survival and revenge. In 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna Matheson's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. Under false pretenses, Anna has lured those responsible for her family's downfall onto a luxury train from Philadelphia to Chicago. An overnight journey of 14 hours. Her goal: confront the people who have wronged her, get them to confess their crimes, and deliver them into the hands of authorities waiting at the end of the line. Justice will at last be served. But Anna's plan is quickly derailed by the murder of one of the passengers. As the train barrels through the night, it becomes clear that someone else aboard is enacting their own form of revenge, and that they won't stop until everyone is dead. With time running out before the train reaches its destination, Anna is forced to hunt the killer in their midst while protecting the people she hates the most. In order to destroy her enemies, she must first save them, even though it means putting her own life at risk. Did you ever see what is it called? A murder on whoa. A
Orient
murder?
Express.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It sounds a lot like that.
Hmm.
Um I don't know, another who done it like
Yeah,
mystery thriller could be fun.
yeah. I'm
Um,
into it. I think that'd be cool. Once again, like I wouldn't want to read all the mysteries in a row, but
yeah,
we can throw those in there.
yeah, for
And how
sure.
many books does this guy have?
Says, all right, this says 17. I want to say that's probably like multiple publishings. I want to say he has like 10,
Okay, nice.
um, 8 or 10, probably somewhere around there. He put one out last, I want to say it was actually last June, that I was a little underwhelmed with. I also listened to it on audiobook,
Okay,
which like when we made it, Brie and I took a road trip. I just had it on audiobook there, so I feel like it was a little less engaging, which may have impacted my experience with it. Uh, but I don't know. Hopefully, this is a step up from that either way.
right.
So that
So,
is With a Vengeance.
hey, so this video took a little bit longer than we thought it was going to. We thought it was going to be one video, but we're actually going to split it up into a couple other ones. So we started with book 1 through 10. Next video, we're going to do book 11 through 20, and then probably book 21 through 25. So we can really dive into the books and talk about them a little bit more.
Thanks for joining us. I think that'll do it. See you next time.
All right, we'll see you on the Frightful Frontier.